So when we look at the graphs, remember when we have an x-intercept, this is a -3, 0. That's where the y value is 0. And then when we have the y-intercept, that is where x is 0. So what we're actually able to do is take these 2 points and graph them. Remember, you only need 2 points to create a line. Those are the 2 points we're going to use. So we have -3, 0, which is right here, and 0, 1, which is here. And so all we have to do is connect. Of course, I didn't do a very good job, but there is our line. From there, you can also, well, with the points or the graph, you can find your slope, you can write an equation, and all of the above. So another one. If you notice here, it just says 0. A 0 is the same as an x-intercept. When we start talking about quadratics, which we will in a few weeks, quadratics uses the term 0 as when a graph crosses the x-axis. So that would be the x-intercept. So our x-intercept for this first one is a -6, 0. And this second one would be 0, -8. So -6, 0 is here, 0, -8 is here. So our line will be, whoa, that's really bad. Let me change my position. There we go. That's better. Not perfect, but better. So again, with the points or the graph, you can find your slope. You can do all kinds of things from here. Okay? Matched up. So you're going to have to do the... Now this is where you're going to come into play. Go ahead and write that equation down. You could even write those 3 little lines down so you have somewhere to record your answers. All right. So we're going to actually find our x-intercept. That's where y is 0. So we're literally going to be substituting a 0 for y and solving for x. So anytime you multiply times 0, of course, that basically has no value, right? So now I have -3x equals 12. So then I just divide by -3 on both sides. X has a value of -4. So then I can throw my -4 right in there. I can graph that point and go from there. I can also find my y-intercept. So let's go ahead and do that one. So my y-intercept is where x is 0. So I have -3 times 0 plus 2y equals 12. So then that has no value. I divide by 2. Y equals 6. So then 6 would be our y-intercept. So far, so good? Okay. Now, the next piece is that, let's say you need the slope because you got to graph it or you want to make sure you graphed correctly, whatever. We have 2 points here, ladies and gentlemen. We can use those 2 points to graph or to find our slope. So here we have 0 to 6, which is a +6. And then we have -4 to 0, which is a +4. So when I set this up as 6 over 4, it simplifies to 3 over 2. So our slope is 3 over 2. That's one way you can find your slope. The other is to use the equation. And I'll show you that right now. Remember, if you have an equation in this format, the m is your slope. So couldn't I rewrite this equation in slope-intercept form to find my slope? Could I? Absolutely. I can add the 3x. So I have 2y equals 3x plus 12. Dividing by 2 on everything. Oops, I forgot that. So y equals 3 over 2x plus 6. Isn't that weird? Isn't that our y-intercept, the 6? Right? And our slope? So 3 over 2, 3 over 2, 3 over 2. So it works out just that same. Graph. All right. Now I'm going to graph this, guys. So let's see what happens when I graph it. Let's see what this looks like. So this will be -3. Of course, -3x plus 2y equals 12. So there's our graph. I'm also going to go ahead and graph the coordinates for those intercepts. So -4, 0. I'm going to label it so we can see it nice and clearly. And then 0, 6, and label that guy. So as you can see here, we were able to graph, and those 2 points are also on that line. So there's all kinds of things you can do to check yourself. And you can go back and forth. I mean, you can use the graph to find the intercepts, because this is actually what you guys are going to be doing today. You're going to be matching the graph to the equation. So you may want to use Desmos to help you with that. And the intercepts, or the intercepts. So go ahead and find your x-intercept on this one. Just do the x-intercept, and then we'll check it together. I have to show you. My son is at the nanny's house, and he painted it's like a little canvas like this big. And she just sent me a picture of it. Look at this. For a 3-year-old, it's not so shabby. I mean, it's not like he drew, it's kind of abstract, but the way he didn't overlap too much and everything, it's kind of cool. Pretty impressed. That's a keeper. All right, let's find our x-intercept, just like I asked you to. So our x-intercept, remember, is where y is 0. So then this would be, keep turning it off by accident. There it is. Let's see, x plus 5 times 0 equals -10. So that means that has no value. So that means our x-intercept is at -10. So this would be -10, 0. Are y'all with me? Now go ahead and find the y-intercept if you haven't. Y'all agree? How many of you got 0, -2? Nice. All right, last but not least, our slope. I'm just going to use a little table here, our 2 points. So this would be -2 over a +10. When I simplify, I end up with -1/5. So there would be our slope, -1/5. Yeah, we're good? Okay, so today's assignment is really about getting the and then match it to the graph, or one way or the other, whatever works for you. That's why I kind of showed you this like broken up. So you can pull the intercepts and then match it to the graphs, or, whatever. However it works for you, whatever works for your brain. The only thing I'm going to warn you about is that a lot of the values are the same. There's just a mix of integers. So some are positive, some are negative. So you're going to have to kind of be careful with that. Okay? Happy Friday. I hope you'll have an amazing weekend. If you have any questions, obviously I will be here.